Good morning. This is Optical Fiber Communication 3202. Course outcomes: the students will be able to understand the different communication media, various blocks and applications of optical fiber communication system. The students will be able to understand the optics rules and measure the optical fiber cable parameters. Students will be able to identify suitable optical source for a given application. Students will be able to identify suitable optical detector for a given application. Students will be able to identify suitable connectors and measure the losses in the optical fiber cable. And students will be able to understand architecture of the optical networks for given applications. Three types of the sources we have seen. One is wideband continuous spectra source, example incandescent lamp, monochromatic and incoherent sources, LED, monochromatic and coherent sources, lasers. Requirement of the sources: source size and configuration should become compatible to with launching light output with highly directional, must accurately track electrical input signal and with minimum to minimize distortion and noise. For that source should be linear. Source should emit the light at wavelength where the fiber has low loss, low dispersion, and detector are efficient. Preferably capable of simple signal modulation over a wide bandwidth extending from audio frequency beyond gigahertz. All these points we have already discussed many times, and we are revising this. Then five, source should couple sufficient optical power to overcome attenuation in the fiber, connector losses, and receive adequate power to the drive the detector, and source should have very narrow spectral bandwidth line width in order to minimize the dispersion in the fiber. Source must capable of maintaining stable optical output unaffected by changes in the ambient condition of the temperature. Source is to be comparatively cheaper or cost effective and highly reliable in order to compete with conventional transmission techniques. And we know there are photons in the optical energy. Photon is a discrete packet of energy or quanta, and photon interact with the matter uh, with the absorption and the emission of the photon. In this way, to interact. Quantum theory says that atoms exist only in certain discrete energy state, and absorption and emission of light causes the atom to make the transition from one discrete energy state to another discrete energy. And this transition can be identified as absorption, spontaneous emission, stimulated emission. In absorption, the uh, atom at lower energy state can, that is valence energy state, can transit from valence to conduction low to high energy state by absorbing one uh, photon, HF, and that is equal to band gap energy. So this photon will help to overcome the band gap energy of the atom or charge particle. And then charge particle or atom goes into higher energy state, conduction energy state in the final state. In spontaneous emission and stimulated emission, both, the atom is already in the higher energy state. So it is having the energy EC or E2. So in spontaneous emission, the atom randomly transit from higher energy state to lower energy state, radiating the energy HF, which is again equal to band gap energy. This energy equal to band gap energy. And in simulated emission, from higher level to lower level, atom will transit only when the external photon interacts with atom structure, having the energy again equal to, external photon is also having the energy equal to band gap energy that resonates the structure, and then the higher energy atom transit to lower energy atom and emit, generate photon that get emitted along with the incident photon. Both the photons are in phase, both the photons are having same energy value, so they are monochromatic and coherent. So this is the stimulated emission. Spontaneous emission is in the LED, stimulated emission is in the laser. So again we are very fastly revising the same things. The principle of working of optical source: absorption of the and emission of the radiation. Frequency of absorption of emitted radiation F is related to the difference in the energy E between the higher energy state E2 to lower energy state E1. So the frequency of absorption or emission is related to the difference in the energy E. And that is the E2 minus E1. So HF is E2 minus E1. Where H is Planck's constant 6.626 into 10 to the minus 34 Joule Kelvin. Sorry, Joule second. So this is about the uh, absorption and emission of the photons and photon energy value. The principle of working of source in which the absorption absorption takes place. In that, whenever the atom is having two energy level structure, and atom initially is at lower energy state or in a lower energy level E1 suppose, and then when the photon with energy E2 minus E1 is incident upon atom, atom goes into higher energy state E2 from lower energy state E1. This is through the process mechanism of absorption of the photon. So this process is absorption. In emission of the radiation of the light or photon, again atom is considered two energy state or two energy level atomic system, and atom initially at higher energy state. Now it can transit from higher to lower energy state E1, from E2 to E1, by providing the emission of photon at a frequency corresponding to E equal to E2 minus E1 equal to HF. So F is the frequency. The emission is of two types: spontaneous emission, stimulated emission. So in case of the first type of the emission, that is spontaneous emission, in which the atom returns to the lower energy state in entirely random manner. So it is a random in nature and of the spontaneous emission process. It emits the light by electronic transition in the large number of atoms. It gives incoherent radiation. The emission process in semiconductor is a mechanism for light generation within LED. So all these points we have uh, already discussed. So let us just very fast we have to revise it. So second is stimulated emission when the photon having the energy equal to the energy difference between the two states E2 minus E1 interact when external photon interact with the atom which is at upper energy state. Atom is at upper energy state and external photon is interacting with that atom, and external photon is having the energy equal to band gap energy, then that atom returns to lower energy state from upper by creating one second photon, one more photon. So this second photon obviously will be having the energy equal to band gap energy. So incident photon is having band gap energy, radiated photon is having band gap energy, both are having same energy, that means both are having same wavelength here. So the source is monochromatic, and the emitted photon and incident photon both are in the same phase, so it is coherent also. So it emits the photon identical, generally identical energy to the incident photon. It is having the light of stimulating and stimulated photon in phase. So light is in phase and with the same polarization. Hence, it is coherent radiation. It is coherent. So it adds the incident wave to the liberated wave in constructive manner. So wave addition is in constructive manner. So it provides the amplification, okay, giving the laser optical source, that is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So this is the structure where the field circles are electron, empty circles are holes, minus sign circles are acceptor, plus sign circles are donors. So P type, many acceptors are there and many holes are there. In N type, many donors are there which donates the electron, and many electrons are there and a majority charge particle. But in N type, some holes are also there, but in P type, some electrons are also there as a minority charge carrier. When the junction is formed, the free electrons recombine with the holes and the atoms are stabilized by completing the octet. So this becomes neutralized as whole. So this is non-conducting of electricity. Then charged particle, electron or hole cannot travel, cannot be conducted through it, and it provides the depletion layer, provides the further recombination of the remaining charged particles, and it keeps the p and n region as it is. So depletion layer changes, junction formation changes the energy band diagram, and Fermi energy level, which is the average energy level of the crystal, and the P side region, the energy level of the conduction as well as valence energy levels are raised, and the same in the N type region they are lower. So there is a potential barrier change in the different values of the conduction energy state of P and N is observed. So from N side the free electrons cannot travel directly to the P side because of there is a difference in the potential. This is called potential barrier. To overcome potential barrier, we have to bias the device so that this potential barrier is reduced as well as the external energy is provided to the free electrons to cross the depletion layer. And this is shown here whenever the forward PN junction is there, forward bias PN junction, biasing is there. That is, N is connected negative of the battery, P is connected positive of the battery. This slightly lowers the P side energy levels, this slightly raises the N side energy level, potential barrier reduces. At the same time, energy is provided to charge particle to cross the depletion layer. So holes crosses the uh, P side to N side, electron crosses, large number of electrons crosses N side to P side. So available electrons in the P side, available holes in the N side, those recombine with the other type of the charges, and they emit the electron hole pair recombination is there, and they emit the photons of HF. This process is random, and that's why it is spontaneous emission. And emitted photon will have same energy value, so same wavelength, same frequency, so it is monochromatic, but it is not in phase, so it is incoherent. It is observed in the LED. So spontaneous emission is due to the electron hole pair recombination, and it emits the band gap energy Eg amount of energy. Energy released is equal to band gap energy Eg. Two types of recombinations are there. One is radiative, one is non-radiative. Radiative recombination means it emits the photon. Non-radiative recombination means it do not emit the photon, but the energy released is dissipated in form of lattice vibration, mechanical energy, and finally it gets converted into thermal energy. So this is not photon radiating mechanism. So it is non-radiative recombination. So radiative recombination in which the energy released as a light photon, and that light photon is having the band gap energy Eg with frequency F relation as Eg is equal to HF or Eg is equal to Hc upon lambda, where C is the velocity of light in vacuum and lambda is the optical wavelength. H is Planck's constant. If you substitute H is equal to 6.626 10 raised to minus 34 joule second, and C is equal to 2.998 10 raised to minus 10 meter per second, and if you adjust the equation such that wavelength is can be substituted in micrometer and Eg is directly can be substituted in electron hole, then the formula becomes lambda equal to 1.24 divided by Eg, or Eg is equal to 1.24 divided by lambda. This formula we can use by directly substituting and directly getting lambda in the macro and Eg in the electron hole. So this becomes easier for the calculation. So this we already discussed many times, and spontaneous emission crystal structure in which this is the metallization on both the sides for connecting the external wires. These are the wires, and to these wires the charge battery, external battery is connected. This is negative of the battery, this is positive of the battery, positive is connected to P type, negative is connected to N type. So this is forward bias, and N type is having large number of electrons, P type is having large number of majority of the holes, but some of the electrons from P to N and some of the holes from some of the electrons from N to P and some of the holes from P to N, they are um, conducted due to the biasing, and the electron holes are pairs are recombinations are there, and these recombinations gives the energy, radiative energy in form of EHF, that is the photons. So all these photons are generated randomly at any time and randomly at any space. So spatial temporal coherence is not there. So it is incoherent. This device is incoherent. And So these arrows shows the battery is supplying the electrons, or this shows the battery is supplying the positive charges. Okay. So these recognitions gives a monochromatic but incoherent optical output. So for laser application, the basically the mechanism of population inversion is required. So what is population inversion is whenever the material, semiconductor crystal material is in thermal equilibrium, so there is a Boltzmann distribution of atomic density and energy level of the atomic atoms. So if there are two energy states, E2 and E1, E2 is higher, E1 is lower, then how many number of atoms, or what is the density of atom that possess the E1, and what is the density of atoms that possess E2 is controlled by this dotted line, which is called Boltzmann distribution. Okay, exponential of minus E by kT. So this is Boltzmann distribution. So this Boltzmann distribution controls the number of atoms N1 and N2, or this density of the atoms N2 and N1. So N2 is the density of atoms having higher energy state E2. N1 is the density of atoms having lower energy state E1. Now in this case, in thermal equilibrium, we are able to observe that large density or large number of atoms are having lower energy state, and very small number of atoms of small density is having higher energy state. So number of atoms ready for radiation at higher energy state are lesser, and number of atoms at lower energy state are more. So this is N2 is less than N1 condition. N2 is less than N1 condition. Now, for optical amplification, non-equilibrium distribution of the atoms is required, which is called population inversion. This is by distribution of the population if the upper energy level should be more than the population in the lower energy level. So upper energy level distribution should be more than the lower energy level. So this much is the lower energy. This is higher for the upper energy. Okay. So this is called population inversion. So opposite condition to the thermal equilibrium condition. So this is observed in the crystal structure by uh, due to the a mechanism called pumping, and pumping can be done with the any energy source, optical energy source, thermal energy source, or electrical energy source by biasing. So population inversion is the population inversion in the atom. In population inversion, the atoms must be excited to upper energy state E2, and non-equilibrium distribution must be obtained. Population inversion is done using external energy source. This is a process of population inversion is called pumping. And pumping may be due to intense radiation like optical flash or tube light or high frequency radio field, and semiconductors have population inversion with the help of voltage biasing, that is electrical energy source. So this is a figure which shows the N1 is very less than N2. So higher energy state atoms or density of atom is larger than lower energy state. So large number of atoms are ready at higher energy state to radiate by transiting higher to lower. So this can give the amplification. So it is the mechanism useful for laser. So this is the laser structure in which the mirrors are there. One mirror is semi-transparent or semi reflecting, and one mirror is perfectly reflecting. So all the photons coming in this direction, they are get reflected back, and all the photons coming in this direction, partially they are given out as the optical output, and partially they are reflected back. And this oscillation of photon in this amplifying medium is continuous, and this oscillation of photon while oscillating, traveling, this photon interact with the atomic structure, and atomic structure releases one more photon. One photon is interacting, then one more photon is released. So this is called, this release the photon is having the same wavelength and same phase and polarizations. Therefore, they constructively add together, and this gives the amplification. So this medium becomes amplifying medium. So two mirrors are set at distance L, suppose. So whatever the photons which are going in this direction, they are they get lost due to this uneven finish or polishing on other sides, whereas very even finishing is there on these two sides. So in this direction, whatever the photons are traveling or oscillating, they are supported for the amplification, and that's why the structure gives out very directional optical energy. So any random directional optical energy is not supported. Only amplification is supported in one particular direction. So this source becomes directional. The emitted photons are having the same wavelength, so monochromatic. Emitted photons are having the all the emitted photons are having same phase. So this is coherent. So it is observed in the laser. So this is the basic laser structure incorporating the plane mirrors. So light amplification in the laser occurs when photon collides with atom in the excited state, and that causes the stimulated emission of the second photon. Both photons release two more photons, and this process continues and creates the avalanche multiplication. The electromagnetic wave of photon are in phase. All these photons are in phase. So wave of the photon is in phase. It will create amplified coherent emission, and the laser action of for this laser action, a photon must be within the laser medium. Okay, so photon must maintain the condition for coherency. For this, the plane or curved mirrors can be used, and the mirrors are at either end in the amplifying medium. So all these conditions, when fulfilled, the medium becomes laser, that is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So optical feedback and laser oscillation, in which the optical cavity is formed, which is more analogous to oscillator than amplifier. So it works as oscillator. It provides the positive feedback. So it is oscillator of the photons by reflecting the mirrors. So mirrors are providing from output, some of the photons are fed back to the medium. So this is the feedback. What is feedback? That is photons. So it provides the positive feedback of photons by reflecting at the mirrors at either of the end of the cavity. In circuit theory, the oscillator or amplifier, they provide the current or charge particles at the feedback. So feedback is the electrical signal. Here feedback is the optical signal, photons. So optical signal is fed back many times while receiving the amplification as it passes through the medium. So this structure acts as a Fabry-Perot resonator. So this also we have discussed many times. The amplification of the signal is small with the single pass through the medium. So in the medium, whenever the one time pass of the photon is there, then the amplification. So photon travels from this to this once and just gets out of the structure. Then this is one pass. But if it is reflected back and again it travels in this direction, again reflected back, again it is traveling in this direction, again reflected back, again it will. So there, this is many times multiple passes are there of the photon. Then that offers the net gain large net gain is offered due to the multiple passes, and then this is more amplifying. One mirror is partially transmitting, and light radiation uh, escape from that cavity through that transmitting mirror, partially transmitting mirror. The stable output is obtained at a saturation. That means when the optical gain is exactly matched by the losses incurred in the amplifying medium. So when the gain overcomes the losses or it matches the losses, then it becomes stable and sustained oscillation at the saturation. So same is there in the circuit theory oscillations also. The major losses are from absorption and scattering of the amplifying medium. So what are the major losses? The major losses are from absorption of the photon. Whatever the photons are generated, they are absorbed by the material. Okay, so sources also absorb the photons. So this absorption of the amplifying medium and scattering of the photon in the amplifying medium. So these are the two major losses. What are the other possibility of the losses? Also losses are from absorption, again scattering and diffraction. At the mirrors, mirrors also absorb, scatter and diffract the photons, and non-useful transmission through the mirror takes place. The non-useful transmission also takes place. So these are the causes of the losses due to the amplifying medium and due to the mirrors. And these losses has to be overcome by the amplifying medium gain so that it can balance the losses and have the stable sustained oscillation. So this medium provides the gain, that is gain curve, and for particular frequencies on x-axis frequencies are there, on y-axis relative amplification is there. For certain range of the frequencies, it provides the gain, and remaining range of the frequency it do not provide the gain. It is providing zero gain, isn't it? So from this remaining frequency no gain is there, from this higher side remaining frequency no gain is there. So if gain is not provided, those frequencies are not supported, those frequencies are not amplified, and the frequency only for very small line width are supported by the gain and amplified. This is the meaning of this gain curve or gain envelope. Okay. So oscillations occur in the laser cavity over a small range of frequency where the cavity gain is sufficient to overcome losses. Okay. So when oscillation takes place in laser quality, for very small range of frequency, only this much range of the frequency oscillation takes place, and at those frequency the cavity gain is sufficient to overcome the losses. So this gain is sufficiently large to overcome the losses. Okay. Hence the device is not monochromatic. So theoretically we are saying it is monochromatic, but device is not monochromatic, as this is axis is frequency axis. This frequency is supported, this frequency is supported, this all these frequencies are supported. So all these frequencies are supported by the gain. So multiple frequencies are there. So it is not monochromatic, it is multichromatic, but it is over a very small range, and we can assume it as a monochromatic. So very narrow spectral band is there. The central frequency of spectral band is a mean energy level difference in stimulated emission. Okay. So instead of in energy level, we must call it as a energy band. And since it is energy band, many energy values are possible instead of single energy value of the band gap energy. So this is becoming frequency of spectral band. Okay. So out of that, what is the mean energy level difference? That is the central frequency or central wavelength, which is having maximum amplification. The central wavelength is having maximum amplification. Okay. Or central frequency we can call. So this is having maximum amplification. Other frequencies in the spectral band is by frequency variation due to thermal motion of the atoms also, and this is in the amplifying medium it is occurring, and the medium allows amplification under the gain curve as a finite spectral width. So this is the very finite spectral width as we see here. So only finite spectral width is there, and over that width the medium allows the amplification. So this gain curve I think we have discussed yesterday with sufficient population inversion. So if the large amount of population inversion is there, large amount of the charged particles are present in the higher energy state in the amplifying medium, and then radiation builds up and establishes a standing wave between the mirrors. If sufficiently large number of the higher energy state atoms are there, sufficiently large number of the photons are radiated, and that builds up the standing wave. To build the standing wave, the energy is required, and the distance between the ends must be integral multiple of the wavelength. That theory we have seen in the standing wave from high school level using the thread and that tuning fork. You must have generated the standing wave by changing the length of the string or thread, isn't it? So this is about the gain curve. So optical fiber cavity provides the gain over very small frequency range. As the optical fiber cavity is able to generate all the frequencies, infinite frequency, out of that only certain small amount of frequency it supports. So remaining frequency not supported, that means not generated. So the source become very small line width source. We can call it as a monochromatic. So the same thing is shown here. The optical feedback laser oscillation in which the standing wave exists and at the frequency which the distance between the mirrors is integral multiple of half wave. So what is the condition that standing wave exists? The standing wave exists only at frequencies. I think from these we are disconnected. We will discuss this now. The missing part it is. The standing wave exists only at frequencies for which the distance between mirrors is integral number of half wavelength. So what is there in the standing wave? So suppose this is one mirror, this is second mirror, then one, two, three, four, five. So these are the standing waves, half waves, isn't it? One, two, three, four, five. So there are half integral number five. Five is the integral number of half waves. There may be possibility that two half waves are there. There may be possibilities that three half waves are there. There may be possibility that four half waves are there. But there will not be a possibility that three and a half, two and a half, one and a half, one and quarter, three and quarter. So one and two 20%, one and 25%, one and 35%. So this is not possible. So standing wave is offered as integral multiple of the frequency. So it generates such discrete frequencies for various standing waves. So suppose for standing wave of 2, standing wave of 3, standing wave of 4 half wave, 5 half wave, 6 half wave, 7 half wave, 8 half wave. For every standing half number of half waves as the integral multiple, one frequency is generated. So it is the spectrum of discrete frequency that can be supported by same amplifying medium. Theoretically, all the frequencies can be generated. So this is the meaning of this graph. What this graph is showing, frequency on x-axis and optical intensity on other axis. All those discrete frequency are having same number of photon generation possible. I am saying possible theoretically, but practically it is not generating. This is because gain curve. Gain curve puts the limitation on very small number of frequency can be generated. Theoretically, all the frequencies can be possible due to the theory of the standing wave. The standing wave exists only at frequencies with distance between the mirrors is integral multiple of half waves. Okay, half wavelength. When the optical spacing between the mirror is L, then resonance condition along the axis, the cavity, the L is given as L equal to lambda q upon 2n. Lambda q upon 2n. So this is the formula for length between two fixed terminals, two mirrors. L is equal to lambda q upon 2n, where lambda is the emission wavelength. Okay, lambda is the emission wavelength. N is the refractive index of the amplifying medium. That is the refractive index of the lattice crystal in which amplification takes place, semiconductor material. And q is the integer number. Q is integer number. Lambda is wavelength, n is refractive index, but q is integer number. What do you mean by integer number? Any integer like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dash, 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 dash. Suppose q minus 2, q minus 1, q, q plus 1, q plus 2, dash, 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 dash. Any number which are integer. So q minus 2, q minus 1, q plus 1, q plus 2, q plus 3, all these are integers, in not in fraction form. So q is an integer. Okay. Now frequency can be given as f is equal to qc upon 2nl. If you substitute lambda, you can find the same the formula. We can rearrange the formula very easily. Okay. So how to rearrange this? Suppose L is equal to lambda q upon 2nl. L equal to lambda q upon 2n. Then substitute lambda. What is lambda? C is equal to f lambda. So what is lambda? C by f, isn't it? Lambda is c upon f. Substitute here. Lambda is c upon f, 2n f, and lambda, this q is there. Cq 2n f, isn't it? Lambda is substituted as c by f, and q upon 2n is already there. So L is Cq upon 2n f. So f is taken on this side, L is taken on other side. You will get this formula. F is taken on left side, L is taken on right side. So L goes into denominator, F goes into numerator of other side. F is equal to QC divided by 2N, NL. QC divided by 2NL, 2N into the CL. Okay. So this is the frequency formula. From the same formula, we get F is equal to QC upon 2N, NL. Where c is the velocity of light, q is the integer, n is the refractive index, L is the length between the mirrors. So that means different frequencies of oscillation in laser cavity is determined by various integer values of q, and each constitute a resonance of or the mode. Each constitute a resonance, or it is called mode. So what is the mode in the optical fiber is, if we change this q value, there is one more mode. If single half wave is generated, this is mode 1, this 2 half wave, mode 2, suppose 3 half waves, mode 3, 4 half waves, mode 4, 5 half waves are generated, mode 5. So q is varied from 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this formula, whatever the q value is substituted, that will give the different frequency. Okay. Suppose this frequency is given, and when q is 1, when this frequency will be 1, q equal to 2, next frequency will be given q equal to 3, isn't it? So that is the meaning of this. So different frequency of oscillations in laser cavity is determined by various integer values of q. So q is substituted as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Different frequency will get in the from the formula qc upon 2nl, 1c upon 2nl, 2c upon 2nl, 3c upon 2nl. Q is substituted as a different integer value. Q minus 1 may be substituted, Q minus 2 may be substituted, Q may be substituted, Q plus 1 may be substituted, Q plus 2, various frequency will get. So, suppose, what is the difference between frequency? Difference between frequency is shown here. What is the difference between frequency? So, this is the x-axis is the frequency axis. So, difference in this and this frequency, C upon NL. Difference between frequency is C upon NL. So, this is delta F, difference in frequency, C upon NL. Very easily, C upon 2NL. Very easily this can be derived. How to derive it? Assume this frequency as f1 equal to q is maybe q minus 1 into c divided by 2nl from this frequency formula. We can write this. So if this is q minus 1 number, next consecutive, immediately next frequency will be q, integer increased by 1 is upon 2nl. Bro? So difference in frequency f2 minus f1 is delta f. So delta f is f2 minus f1. So what is that? Qc upon 2nl minus q minus 1 into c upon 2nl. Qc upon 2nl minus q minus 1 c upon 2nl. So solve it, you will get the same thing. So we'll solve it here at the lower side of the slide. So QC upon 2nl minus Q minus 1, that bracket is expanded. So again QC minus C upon 2nl. Okay, C is multiplied into bracket. So that becomes equal to QC upon 2nl minus QC upon 2nl. The denominator is 2nl. So this is QC upon 2nl. This minus and this minus becomes plus. This is C upon 2nl. C upon 2nl. So QC upon 2nl minus QC upon 2nl. Get cancelled. What remains is C upon 2nl. Delta F is how much? C upon 2nl. So it is written here. C upon 2nl. Okay. So you can take here F1, F2, Q minus 2 or Q minus 3, and here F2 you can take Q minus 2. If you have taken F1 Q minus 3, next number will be Q minus 2. Substitute that, you will get same result. If you substitute that, you will get same result. Okay. You can do that and check whether it is working. So here we find that difference in the frequency C upon 2nl. Okay. So delta F is C upon 2nl. So optical feedback and laser oscillation in which modes are separated. Modes are separated by frequency interval delta F. Here delta F is C upon 2n. Modes are separated by frequency interval of 2 delta F C equal to 2n. So mode separation in terms of free space wavelength can be also written. Lambda is a free space wavelength. Okay? So this is delta F equal to C upon 2nl. So in terms of frequency, mode separation is there. So in terms of wavelength also we can write delta lambda. Okay, mode separation in terms of frequency is given as delta F is equal to C upon 2nl. So this is separated by frequency interval delta F. Similarly, separated by wavelength interval delta lambda can be written. So mode separation in terms of free space wavelength, assuming delta F very less than F, we can write F upon C lambda is the identity we know. We can write delta lambda equal to lambda into delta F divided by F. So delta lambda upon lambda equal to delta F upon F. This identity we can write by assuming delta F very less than F. Okay, delta F very less than F. If you assume this, we can write delta lambda upon lambda equal to delta F upon F. So that is delta lambda equal to lambda into delta F upon F. Now, if you substitute a substitute the denominator f in this. Delta lambda equal to lambda delta f divided by f. F is what? F is c upon lambda. C upon lambda. Lambda goes into numerator. So lambda into lambda, lambda square, isn't it? Lambda into lambda is lambda square. Okay. So lambda square delta f upon c. So this is the formula. Lambda square delta f upon c. Again, this delta f also we can substitute. That is c upon 2nl. That we know. Delta f is c upon 2nl. So if you substitute delta f as c upon 2nl, we will get delta lambda as lambda square is there. Okay. And in denominator c is also there. So if you substitute delta lambda c upon 2nl, denominator is 2nl and this denominator c and this c get cancelled. Okay. So in this formula, delta lambda, lambda square into delta f is how much? C upon 2nl. C upon 2nl into this denominator c. So c get cancelled. Lambda square upon 2nl is the delta lambda. So delta f is c upon 2nl and delta lambda is lambda square upon 2nl. So these two formulae we can have for our uh, some calculations, numericals. So again, gain curve effect is shown. Frequency on x-axis and intensity on y-axis. All the possible frequencies can be generated, isn't it? Theoretically, all the possible frequencies can be generated theoretically. But what happens is all the frequencies are not supported by gain curve. There is a gain curve of the amplifying medium. This gain curve do not support the gain or oscillation amplification for all the frequencies. It support the gain for very small range of the frequency, very small line width. So this gain curve limits the number of frequencies that oscillates in the amplifying medium and makes this device almost monochromatic with very less line width. So it supports this frequency at this amplitude and this frequency at less amplitude and this frequency again less amplitude and this frequency almost zero amplitude and beyond this frequency no amplitude, no amplification is provided. Okay. As the large number of modes are generated within the laser cavity, but the spectral output from device is defined by gain curve. Large number of modes are possible within the laser cavity, but the spectral output from the device is defined by gain curve. Gain curve defines the spectral output. Which output is to be coming as the output frequency is defined by the gain curve. Okay. Hence, the laser emission is only includes longitudinal modes contained within the spectral width of gain curve. Okay. Hence, the laser emission only contains the modes containing within the spectral width of gain curve. Okay. So, possible is that all the large number of modes are possible theoretically. But there is also gain curve. Spectral output of the device is defined by the gain curve. And that gain curve limits the laser emission only to those longitudinal modes which are contained within the spectral width of the gain curve. So this was yesterday we have discussed. And due to connectivity, you are not able to listen and not recorded also. So this is about the gain curve and spectral frequencies. So what it means, due to the standing wave theory, according to the standing wave theory, infinite number of discrete frequencies can be generated by the amplifying medium with the same distance L in between the mirrors. Infinite number of frequencies are generated. But device do not generate all this frequency because this device is also having the property of gain curve. What it means, the device amplifying medium supports only small number of discrete frequencies for sustained oscillation or amplification and given as the output. So this gain curve is having very small line width over which the longitudinal modes of frequencies are supported for oscillation, and remaining all frequency are not supported or given the gain, so they do not be amplified, cannot be amplified, and they die out. Okay, they are not existing, they are not emitted also. What is the optical output emitted is the frequency which are contained into the gain curve, which are coming inside the gain curve. Only those frequencies are supported by the device and they are outputted. So device frequency is decided by who? It is decided by gain curve. Device will radiate this frequency or device will radiate with this wavelength, or what is the wavelength of the device is decided by gain curve. So wherever the gain curve exists, that wavelength or that frequency is emitted by the device. So device frequency is dependent on gain curve. So this is theory of discrete frequency generation possible over infinite range, and output is for limited frequency range. This is due to the gain curve. Okay, so that's why device becomes monochromatic, having very small line width. So up to this we have discussed yesterday. Then heterojunction is a concept, okay, which is very widely used in the uh, optical device making. So what is heterojunction? Heterojunction means heterojunction means junction due to two different materials. Till now we are considering that there is a PN junction having the depletion layer on P on one side, on N on other side, and they are having the conduction and valence energy state which are same on P and N. So band gap energy of P and band gap energy of N are same, that we are assume. But if the P side band gap energy is taken different than N side band gap energy, that means material on the P side is different and material on the N side which is different to make the semiconductor crystal. Then the junction formed is called as heterojunction. Okay, these junctions are called heterojunctions. So material of type P may be different from material of type N, or if there are two P layers, one P layer is different from other P layer. If there are two N layers, one N layer is different from other N layer. So P to P heterojunction may be there, N to N heterojunction may be there, or P to N heterojunction is possible. So heterojunction means on both sides of the junction, material is having different band gap energy. That means material is having different constituents, different alloy. Okay. Gallium, indium, phosphate, these are the semiconductor materials used, and the mixture of these, alloy of this is used to make. So this proportion of the mixture constituent is changed, band gap energy changes. Suppose gallium arsenide is there. So gallium proportion and arsenide proportion is changed 60-40% to 50-50% or 45% to 55%. So this is 55, that is 45, or this is 45, that is 55, or 40-60, 65-35. So this proportion of the gallium and arsenide is changed, that will change the band gap energy. Okay, band gap energy value. If the band gap energy value changes, emitted photon will change. Energy content of the emitted photon. That means wavelength will change. So you can design particular wavelength with the selection of the material while manufacturing the device. And heterojunction means on both sides of the junction, different semiconductor band gap energies are there because of the different semiconductor constituents are their proportion of the mixing, alloy making. So these are the heterojunctions. Okay, these are the heterojunctions which are used in the LEDs as well as lasers in the manufacturing. Now we are saying that there is a P region, there is a N region, and there is a junction, and on the both side of the junction, two different material alloys are used with different band gap energy. This is called heterojunction. This is called heterojunction. But if there are two junctions in the same crystal, one junction is okay, but there are two junctions and both the junctions are heterojunctions, then it is called double heterojunction. Okay, double heterojunction injection line. Okay, so in this particular figure, there is a PP heterojunction and there is a PN heterojunction. So this is the P region in the figure. This is also P region in the figure. This is also there is a N region in the figure. So this is P. This is also P, and this is N region. So there are two junctions. P to P junction is there and P to N junction is there. So there are double junctions and both the junctions are heterojunctions. Both the junctions are hetero. Heterojunctions mean on both sides of the junction there are different material alloy constituents, percentage or different constituent mixing level, alloy properties will change and accordingly the band gap energy values will change on both sides of the junction. And these two junctions are having, both the junctions are having the same property of heterojunction. So this becomes double heterojunction injection. Here you can observe this is EG1, this is EG2, both are different. So this value is different than this value. At the same time, this P region band gap energy is different, which is kept very small. Okay, and that makes a particular peculiar step-like structure into the energy diagram. Okay, so what it makes is the active region. Okay, what it makes is the active region. What is active region? As you observe in the figure, uh, holes from P region can reach up to this point. Holes on one P region can reach up to this P region. Okay, second P region. So holes are up to this particular P region. Similarly, electrons from N region can reach up to this P region due to very small change in the energy levels, conduction energy level of N region and this P region near to N region, there is a very small energy gap. This can be adjusted by adjusting proportion of the materials. It is adjusted such that there is a very small energy gap and the electrons can very easily go into P region, but they cannot go into other P region, next P region, because there is a large difference in energy level. So electrons are present in p region, holes are present in the p region, which is sandwiched between other p region and n region. So the volume or area is created in which both holes and electrons are present, and the recombination can take place, and this recombination can emit the photon. This region is called active region. This is called active region, optically active region. So optical processes of absorption and radiation takes place in this region. Okay? And whenever the biasing is applied, pumping is there, large number of charged particles goes into higher energy state, large number of electron and hole recombination takes place, and large number of photons are emitted, and these large number of photons interact with the uh, high energy, higher level energy atom structure, and again that atom structure generates more photons. These more photons and original photons get amplified due to the constructive addition of the waves, incident wave and radiated wave, and these wave further travel in between the two mirrors as a feedback, and while traveling, propagating in the amplifying medium, they interact again further more number of atoms, and higher level atoms will transit again higher level to lower level, and this continues as avalanche effect, and very large number of photons are generated. This is called amplification. So one side of the mirror is semi-transparent, it gives the optical output as shown at the topmost side of this figure. Okay, it gives the optical output, and remaining photon continues to travel. And due to biasing, these electrons on n side, they can very easily go into p side as arrows are shown. Okay, due to biasing, and they interact with the holes present in that area, which is called active region. An active region is made sandwiched between one side p and one side n. An active region is very small in microns. Of course this structure is in microns. An active region is lesser wide than the other two regions, p region, n region, and as this width of the active region is very less, the optical output given by the device is very pencil like beam. Beam is very sharp, pencil like beam. Okay, and beam then becomes very optical beam then becomes very directive, and with the 10 micrometer, 100 micrometer, 200 micrometer diameter optical fiber, this beam can be very efficiently launched or connected to the fiber. Okay, the beam is made very directive by making active region, and again active region width is making very sharp, small, and that makes the beam sharp. As the active region is made very small, the gain also increases, because large number of photon concentration is generated in very small region area, and there is every possibility that that possibility increases that the photon will interact with the uh, higher level atoms, and they transit from higher level to lower level. Okay, so all this is achieved. That is, the photon concentration is increased. Then chance of the probability of the interacting the photon with the uh, atom structure is increased, and that increases the gain also, and that increase the gain outputs the beam, which is becoming very directive also. All these can be achieved with making active region, and active region very small width. How to active region is made achieved is by double heterojunction structure. Double heterojunction structure. Okay, double heterojunction structure. Now this optical beam or optic photons also can be guided with the optical conducting material. How the guiding is there? With the help of optical fiber structure. How the guiding is there? With the help of optical fiber structure. So which is shown here in figure C. Okay? So this is figure C. Here the distance is shown. So this is the distance on x-axis, and refractive index and electrical field distribution is shown on y-axis. Okay? So refractive index is shown on x-axis. So refractive index of 1p region is lesser, refractive index of n region is lesser, and refractive index of the central p region is higher. Okay, the refractive index of the active region is higher. So this is becoming just like the optical fiber, and that's why this region, active region, which is central P region, do not allow photon to go into cladding. That is N and P, other N and other P, other P and N region. That's why photon will travel only in that particular active medium. So refractive index of the active region is increased than the refractive index of the other junction areas, and that makes the optical fiber cable structure and increases the directivity also, because optical fiber structure is there, so photons can either go in this direction or they can go in this direction. In cladding they are not possible to go. So in this direction the mirror is placed, which is perfectly deflecting, so all photon returns back. But in this direction partial mirror, reflecting mirror is there, partial transmitting. So large number of photons are transmitted through this area. And as this is optical fiber-like structure, this beam becomes pencil beam or directive beam. So direction of the beam is also increased very much due to the refractive index profile generation. Okay, refractive index or fiber-like profile generation. And whatever number of photons are there, they do not go in the other region. That's why photon concentration increases in amplifying media. If they are going in the N region or other P region, they will be lost and absorbed by the semiconductor material. They will not take part into amplifying action. So photons should not go into other region. That provision is made, that care is taken by increasing the refractive index of P region, which is active region. So this is one more thing done in this. And there is a electrical also property change. What is that? So P region resistivity is made higher than other P region resistivity. So whatever the applied bias is there, that applied bias generates highest electrical field. This dotted shown is electrical field distribution. So electrical field is highest here. So what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is active region is offered all the bias voltage potential, and this electrical potential applied, all the electrical potential applied to active region makes the pumping action into active region, not in the other P region or N region. What is pumping action? The electrical power source giving the electrical energy, and this electrical energy is used to pump the large number of population into higher energy level, take large number of atoms into higher energy level. So this is pumping and population inversion. For that population inversion that happen in the only in the active region, this electrical distribution is also adjusted by conductivity of the medium. So there is the optical confinement, there is the electrical confinement. This is called confinement. So optical confinement is there and electrical confinement is also there. And that confinement and electrical confinement increases the gain of the region to very high value. Okay, how it increases gain? It increases the photon concentration. It increases the possibility of interacting the photon with the atom structure at the higher level, energy level, and that's why it increases the possibility of emission of the photon. That emission of the photon increases, gain will increase. Okay, number of output photons are increased. So active region, this confinement increases the gain. Okay. Optical confinement. So electrical confinement, all the voltage is applied to this region. So pumping is taking place in this region, not in other P and N region. So due to pumping, all the maximum number of atoms are going from higher level to lower level to higher level, and they become ready for emission of the photon. So once the atom emits the photon, atom goes into lower energy state. This electrical pumping again makes that atom go into higher energy state. Atoms are going from lower to higher energy state with the help of electrical pumping, and due to the interaction of the external photon, they again coming from higher level to lower level emitting the photon. This is conversion of electrical energy to photo energy. Electrical energy is taken to take the atoms on the higher energy level, and higher energy level atoms goes again to the lower energy level by emitting the photon. So electrical energy is taken by atom to go to higher energy level, and then when they come from higher energy level to lower energy level, they emit the photon. So electrical energy is converted into photon energy, that is optical energy. So source is electrical to optical converting device, transducer. And to make it more and more effective or efficient, the double heterojunction structure is used. Double heterojunction. DH. In short, it is called DH. Double heterojunction. DH structure is used. What is there in the DH structure? The band gap energies are adjusted. Each layer of semiconductor material is having different band gap energy, and they are adjusted such that the active region is having minimum most band gap energy, and charged particles can only accumulate into active region, both types of charged particles, and active region can have electron, only active region can have electron and hole in recombinations. Only active region can have electron hole recombination, and only active region can have hole emission due to this recombination. Photon emission due to the recombinations. Now, emitted photon can interact with the higher energy level atoms only in this active region, because again the higher energy state atoms will observe are present only in this active region, because electrical intensity is provided only to, pumping is provided only to this region, and emitted photon is not allowed to go into other region. They make the pencil like beam and they oscillate only in this region, because optical confinement is made. Optical confinement is there, electrical confinement is there, double heterojunction structure is there. That makes the device very directive, very coherent, very monochromatic, and this is the laser structure. I think heterojunctions we have discussed. Uh, So these details of the heterojunctions we will discuss tomorrow again, so that it will become revision also. Whatever we have discussed, same is written in the word format. So I think till now I am audible, and today we have covered the missing part also. Am I audible till now? Yes, thank you, Athar. Now let us meet tomorrow. I am stopping the recording also. Thank you.